Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neideigh. I'm here with Omar Serrato, the Tilted Lawyer. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. I was on a phone call and it could not be postponed. So
There were shenanigans in the chat before you logged in. I did an APB for all lesbians.
An APB for all lesbians.
Yeah, well, I was calling for you, and
then
I made
you did an APB for all lesbians while I was not here.
Well, that was the point of the APB. All points bulletin. Find me Lauren Neideigh before I say something wrong in the chat.
Jesus fucking Christ. Well, it didn't work. I'm still the only one, obviously. Well. So, if somebody says these never start on time. You are correct.
But this time it wasn't my fault.
You pushed it back 30 minutes. I was just the last 15.
Okay, well that was like an hour ago, to be fair.
Yeah, but I was like laying down, so it was like your fault.
Well, how did your talk go anyway?
It was good. We'll talk about that because it's unrelated to what we're going to talk about tonight. Yeah, so we won't waste too much time on that. But it was good. It was good.
I've already been accused today of over talking. We're talking over my guests. We're not really. So
have I though. People used to say like, Lauren, you don't. When I have like you and Schnitzel and stuff, they were like, Lauren, you don't talk enough when you have other people. And now they're like, Lauren, you talk too much when you have. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, you literally can't please everybody, man.
I just apologized and said I'll do better next time.
Don't even apologize. Just be like, put a sock in it. I don't know.
But I had the lovely Leanne Newton on, and she was great. We were talking about Baldoni strategy going forward, stuff I was telling you about earlier. Yeah. I thought it was a really good conversation, but a couple of people thought I should have let her talk more.
Lauren, talk up. Hi, Schnitzel.
There it is, the Schnitzel.
Guys, if you haven't seen, apparently I was having coffee with Justin per Instagram. I don't know if Omar saw that or not. Let me pull it up.
I didn't see that. I just saw the earlier clip where he was talking about you and he used a word. What did he? You're acerbic. He said you were acerbic. That's what he said.
Oh, that was Rich, dude. I'm talking about Zach.
I'm
here. I'll show you right now. Hang on.
All right.
If you guys in the chat don't, somebody says, Omar, can you turn your mic volume up? You might want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
if
there
it's
we
too
are.
Loud, just let me know. Does that help?
Yeah.
All right.
You're good. I mean, you're good on my end, but.
Oh, I did see this. I saw your little picture.
Yeah. So Zach, Zach surprised me with that. He is like, yeah, so here's some new evidence of collusion. And then all of a sudden my face is on this dude. I was like, okay, well, I kind of look like, I kind of dress like that in real life. So
did you actually get us? Did you get subpoena too?
No, I mean, I'm out of town. I wouldn't even know if I had, if they tried to.
Oh, well.
They'd have to come find me.
Jealous. I did not get subpoenaed. If they did, I would just send them a big Xerox copy of a middle finger. And these are all my communications with the relevant people. What it would be.
So here's the thing about that. And I know that, it's kind of funny, right? Because we all know that like her backlash was organic and she's refusing to accept that. Okay. But the subpoenas to the creators and stuff like that, it does worry me a little bit. Just because I know that's like, there's other people behind the scenes here involved in this case who've had like really, really hard, stressful times. And so as much as I love making jokes, I would never actually want to be subpoenaed in this case. I don't actually want to be a part of it. I know they're already having enough to deal with. So I wouldn't really want to, I'm not jealous is what I'm saying. I'm not jealous. I don't
No, think you don't want to get a subpoena for no reason.
No, that's not the kind of thing I want for myself. It's just, I don't want to be involved.
Yeah,
I like talking about it, and I will support in whatever way I can in my own capacity. But I don't want to be subpoenaed. Like, even though I have nothing to give, really. I mean, I could turn over some stuff, but it would be like super random,
Well, so, it is the court of random opinion. This is where we
that's
come
true.
From randomness.
That's true. But it would be a mistake to try to find any information from me because it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm just like making.
You know what? Honestly, I feel like if they did subpoena you, they'd have a better chance of finding stuff from you than anybody else.
They would find, because I talked to a couple of people, but Blake's name was never brought up. Ryan's name was never brought up. Nobody else was ever brought up. All I asked people when I talked to them, and the only reason I'm saying this now is because I've said it recently, and so I can't like walk it back now. Otherwise, I would just shut my fucking mouth. But the only thing I ever asked anybody was, what was your relationship with Justin like, and how has he impacted your life? And like, what kind of guy is he to work with and stuff like that? So I've never asked anything about, I'm not saying, how was the set? Was it weird on set? What happened on set? I'm not asking questions like that. I'm not saying, what do you think about Blake? Ever, ever, ever. I never ask anything like that. I just want to know, what kind of guy is this from your perspective as someone who knows him? Because I want to know what I'm out here like, I don't want to say like fighting for, because not really, because I'm just talking about it. But like,
You're
what
advocating.
I'm backing this guy, and he seems like an amazing person. I just want to know for sure, like, this is real. This guy is real, and he is. So
I mean, look, I feel like if there was a reason to say that he wasn't who he represented himself to be, there'd be plenty of fodder out there for people to dissect. But they've had years to find that stuff out. And I feel like he's outed himself for whatever he feels were the worst parts about himself. And,
right.
by all accounts, he seems like a genuine guy.
That's the thing. It sucks so much that it's already hard enough, like the way things are these days with the internet and all that, and the way people, the bar for getting like canceled, I guess you would say, is like getting lower and lower all the time. The bar for what people consider irredeemable is getting lower and lower all the time. So it's like dehumanizing in a way. So this guy who's coming and putting himself out there and saying, this is all the things I had to overcome to become like who I am right now and a better person for my wife, for my children, is like getting demonized for his own like vulnerability and his own growth. And people are trying to like set him back to just kind of like limit him to what he says that he was in the past. And what he says he was in the past is also, honestly, I don't think it's the greatest characterization ever either, because he seems like someone who's very, very critical of himself. So I don't know if that's like, he might be exaggerating it a little bit in his mind.
Well, I think that people are skeptical of him. They view him as if he's like a phony. But nobody's really like that. He's a phony. They'll say stuff like that. What's interesting is earlier when I had Leanne on, I was saying that, this dismissal is not so bad, because now we're going to focus on all of the ridiculousness of the claims against Justin. Because way back when we started with this case, that was the first thing that stood out, to the point where we were so just not concerned with the sexual harassment stuff. We were, focusing on all these weird, crazy conspiracy theories about what Blake Lively was actually up to. Now we're starting to get back to the ridiculousness of the claims. That's only going to benefit Justin, and ultimately us going forward, because we could stop wasting time on all of these weird conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great if we could stop wasting time on all these weird conspiracy theories, but it feels like we're still stuck here if they're subpoenaing Andy and shit like that. Because, I guess, so he must have reached out to Candace, because she said earlier on her show that Andy confirmed to her that he had received his, and, he is obviously doing the documentary. So I can only assume that she's asking for the footage, because what the fuck else has he said that would warrant a subpoena? And
if she asked for the footage, that would be wild. That would be wild. I'm not sure. I mean, I think that would be quashable at that point.
Yeah.
But that would have nothing to do with Andy's. Like, it's a documentary that he made, talking to people in confidence, interviewing other folks about their opinions. I don't know, but my guess is the only relevant thing that they should have access to is whatever his communications were with Baldoni's team directly before the filing of the lawsuit, not after. My understanding of the documentary is that all of that stuff was, for the most part, produced after the lawsuit. Correct?
Well, here's Michelle. Yes, correct. Absolutely correct. Michelle, Michelle, yes?
Yeah, I know, of course.
Works with Andy. Okay, so Andy will be talking about it tomorrow. So I don't want to say too much. I don't want to like speculate too much and like take away his thunder or whatever, because I think that he should be able to talk about whatever it is and confirm it himself. But like, I think it's just the way that she's going about this kind of seems like a witch hunt, to where she's like, I want to know what casting crew you've talked to and what they're saying and all that stuff. I'm like, you don't actually have the right to do that, do you? Like, that doesn't seem.
Well, you should rephrase that. They have the right to ask.
To ask, yes, but you don't actually have the right to like. People.
No, I have the right to quash.
Right, exactly.
I have the right to quash your stupid request.
Right.
It feels a little bit like, look, now that they're having to focus on actually proving their case,
yeah,
they're realizing they don't have a whole lot. And so if they are scouring content creators They had started talking about this case after the lawsuit was filed. Then they just don't got a whole lot. They don't got much.
They're absolutely doing that.
It's like with Baldoni. For his defense, like you're focusing on stuff that happened on the production. We're not really so concerned with, like, for example, the Vanzam thing. There was a subpoena and there was communications, and but all those are ancillary to how ridiculous the case is. So if I got 3 weeks to present my case, I'm going to focus on the strengths of my case. I'm not going to waste my time. Whoa,
sorry,
zoomed in on me like.
I wanted to fix that.
You're going to want to zoom back on me. I don't want to see myself up close like that.
I want to see your. Never mind. You'd be like, show me your tits, but then
Oh Jesus Christ! I lost.
I remember. I already seen them, so it's fine.
You sure have. You're one of few. What's up, Aquanat? Aquanat is in the chat.
So Michelle confirms, yes, we started the documentary after the suit, like well after the suit. And then also I just wanted to point out, somebody said, Candace says that they are asking for her text messages, any sort of correspondence up until today.
I wouldn't give them to them. I would not give them that.
Well, she actually might. I believe she said she won't give the names of her tip line, but she will like give everything else.
I mean, if she's giving everything else, it's because it doesn't matter, and she just wants to be done with it.
None of this is going to matter. It's just unnecessary stress and like trying to like kind of discredit people in a way. I feel like Candace said it would be about 10,000 texts, and she's telling them no. Okay, so she's saying no now. Okay, because I heard earlier she said yes, but she would not.
If I was her attorney, I mean, her probably. I bet her instinct was, look, you want my text? I'll give you my text. But then her attorney's like, you know what? We're not giving them everything after December. Get out of here with that. We're not doing it.
Well, because she seems like somebody who would just be like, fuck it.
Yeah. It's like, here, let me see all of your text messages from December to June. You're not doing that for free.
Well, as much as I said earlier, like I would not want to be involved in this. I feel like the reason a lot of people are like dying to be subpoenaed, these people who are like Candace or Perez are dying to be subpoenaed, is so they can be like clowning on her once she finds out that everyone just actually hates her with no assistance whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, maybe. But I feel like she brought that on herself.
Hey guys, she said she'll give anything prior to the. Okay, I see now. Thank you, Cassidy.
What's up, Cassidy?
How's it going? Anything prior to the loss. Okay, so nothing after that.
Well, that makes more sense. Yeah. If you hear my kids in the background, I apologize. They're well, it's summer vacation.
I don't apologize. I think they're cooler than you, so I miss them.
They 100% are. I'm the boring old guy now.
You were the boring old guy before, but yeah.
That is true. I'm an old soul, so they say.
No, just an old guy.
You should see my playlist.
I've seen your playlist, and it sucks. Okay.
It's better than Megan Trainor.
Perez said he would be deposed in Times Square. He probably fucking would too. Oh my god. Well, Brian Friedman is his lawyer. So
somebody just called me a wine mom. I don't know if I should be offended or. I mean, look.
I like that characterization.
I don't mind having a glass of wine at the end. It's been a long freaking week, man. It's just been so many things going on at my firm this week. Crazy cases.
Oh, man.
You know what, Aquanat? I will share my playlist for the pure comedy of it all.
Make sure you share the stuff that I added to it. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I'll just make sure I highlight. These are Lauren's selections. These have nothing to do with me.
They absolutely were his choices. So Candace posted her subpoena. I don't see it. Is it on her story? Maybe. Let me see. I don't want to hear about Macron. I don't give a shit about that.
Shit. I don't follow Candace on Instagram. I don't follow a whole lot of people. I follow whoever follows me. Is my general rule.
Slut. Double served Blake Lively and Bridget. Okay.
Maria.
Wait, did Bridget Macron serve her? Oh my god! 2 lawsuits, 1 brain cell. This is actually hilarious. Hang on. Wait. Oh my god. Let me pull this up real quick. 2 lawsuits, 1 brain cell is actually fucking hilarious. Again. Oh my god.
I'm starting to like Candace Owens more and more.
Oh my god. Why can I not figure this out? We're just playing musical chairs. There we go. Okay.
I believe this is a Merlot. This is a Merlot.
Somebody's asking what kind of wine you got, wine mom.
Yeah, I know.
It's on her website. Thank you, Carrie. Let me see. Candace Owens. I've never seen her website before, so thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Is that her website or her Instagram? Club Candace.
Obviously, I'm in the right place. Hold on, I just switched it. Hang on.
Oh, I don't want to join any clubs.
No clubs want me to join, so. All right, let's see. 2 lawsuits, 1 brains. Other than the podcast episodes, where are we looking?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just following your lead right now.
I was talking to the chat, not you.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense.
Let me know if they say anything.
Right now,
news.
they're talking about, hey, Kim.
Hi, Kim. I fucking
Who
love
is Kim? Everybody seems to be saying hello
Kim,
to Kim.
Kim is on Popcorn Planet a lot with Andy.
Oh.
We did the what was it called?
I don't believe I've ever been formally introduced.
We were judging outfits on some sort of gala together.
You know who else when I went on with Zach? I've never met Elsie before. I met her on his show.
Elsie's awesome. I love Elsie. She's so funny.
Yeah, I like Elsie. Elsie was cool.
So funny. Yeah. I love Kim too. Okay, let's see. We have Macron's latest letter to Candace. That is not. Well, maybe it's in here. I don't know.
Are they talking about the Macron?
Yes.
Like that guy? Okay.
His wife.
What?
Well, Candace, I believe, thinks that she is transgender, and that has been
seriously
an issue. No comment
Does
from me
it
because
matter?
I have no freaking clue, and I don't care.
I mean, if he likes trannies.
That is apparently, I think that is what Candace was
Well,
saying.
that might be a defamatory statement if it's not true.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know if Candace actually said that or if it was Megyn Kelly, actually. So I probably shouldn't say that. Guys, I retract what I just said. It may have been Megyn Kelly. I'm not
This is how people get themselves in trouble, man. Why say stuff about people?
People are saying you have to pay / join. I'm not paying for shit tonight, so that's not gonna happen.
Well, let's start a hub fund.
We know that she was subpoenaed, and then you guys told us what exactly they asked for. So let's give it that. Candace said it. Tell Omar that she hasn't been sued. You are correct, Lauren. Okay.
Who hasn't been sued?
I'm not sure. I was hoping you remembered.
Oh,
she is 100% believing Brigitte is a man. Is it Brigitte? I think.
Brigitte.
Brigitte. Brigitte. I don't know. But a documentary on it. All behind her paywall. Forget it, guys. Sorry, I'm not going to.
I just don't care. Whatever Macron is into, man, it don't matter to me.
Yeah. All right. So you wanted to talk about because we're going to kind of move off of this topic because it's been talked to death, I feel like, today at this point.
Yeah.
Thing. You wanted to talk about where these guys are going from here as far as the Vanzam stuff. And then after that, somebody requested that we go over the Jed Wallace letter, or the letter regarding the Jed Wallace case, motion to dismiss, whatever. So we'll do that. But
is that fresh? I haven't seen that yet.
Yes, it is.
So I'd be reading it live.
Okay. Yes. So let's go over what you wanted to talk about first.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of taled about it earlier. So if you saw my earlier string where I was talking over Leanne Newton,
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I fell asleep to that. It was very soothing.
Well,
it's just like, oh no.
I wanted everybody to kind of take a deep breath. Like I went on Dave Neal's show on Monday, and I had over the weekend, I feel like I had an epiphany. I was at peace with Baldoni's side of the case because, look, we're wasting so much time talking about this dismissal. People are treating it like it's this funeral. Notice that Blake Lively has yet to take a victory lap. Notice that she hasn't been on social media proclaiming victory and all this kind of stuff, because now is the hard part for her. Look, the 12B6 stuff, getting rid of defamation, fraud, whatever, the breach of contract causes of action were kind of dumb. But we don't have to waste time on it anymore. And like I was saying, what was this case, Lauren, when you were doing this 8-hour live stream, when you were first
5.5
reading?
5.5 hours. Why do you keep saying 8?
Because I feel like I went home.
There was one that was 8, but it was like 4 hours. So it was a little different, you know?
All I know is it was like 3 a.m. your time. Is like, why are you still doing this? Go to bed.
5:30 a.m. my time. No. And I was dead. I was absolutely baked at the beginning of that stream. And by the end of it, I was more sober than I've ever been in my entire life. So
my only point being, like, when we were reading that complaint together, when we were reading the Exhibit A for the first time back in the back end of January, we were all appalled at the strength of Blake Lively's case. Like, this is what she's coming with. This is what we're coming with. And then the majority of folks joined Team Baldoni. And then it was like, oh, but he's got this $400 million countersuit. And everybody's kind of jumping on the bandwagon. Oh, Brian Friedman is the greatest entertainment lawyer who's ever lived. And Blake Lively is going to get steamrolled. And then he came out with this inartfully pled defamation and fraud cause of action lawsuit, along with tortious interference and all these kinds of things. And back then, I was saying that it's problematic if you're arguing breach of contract and you keep on agreeing to all these changes. And when you're agreeing to her suggestions, you keep on saying how awesome she is. It's like, that's going to be really hard to prove. And so when you think about that, when the judge says no to defamation, no to fraud, and all you're left with is the breach of contract stuff, then it makes a lot of sense to get rid of that. So that way they don't get to score any points by saying, oh, all this negative stuff about Blake Lively, but you were saying like she's this creative genius. She's this brilliant actress. She's the reason why you wanted her on the film is because she's going to bring in all this extra revenue. As my kids are screaming in the back. I'm just saying.
Well, I would scream too if I had to listen to you talk about Blake Lively and saying
I know.
Good things.
Sometimes I get tired of my own voice. The point is,
no, not your voice, just what you're saying. You're repeating some very nice quotes about Blake that obviously don't apply.
They don't apply. But the point is, she no longer has the opportunity to score those points at trial. And the entirety of the trial in March of 2026 is going to be focused on, look, you're the one that said it. So afterbirth equals porn. So you invited Heath and Baldoni to your trailer while you were pumping, and then got mad because they might have inadvertently saw you in the state of mid-pump, I guess. Tell me more about your HR complaints. How many did you file? Oh, you never filed an HR complaint. Tell me about the kissing scene. What did he do? Oh, it was choreographed. It was choreographed. And what did he do? He took some liberties with the scene. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the video. Isn't it true that's you pulling him into you? Aren't you taking, show me in the choreography where that was allowed. What are we doing right now? And the entire lawsuit's going to be focused on that. Secondly, 47.1, I feel like what's going to happen, they're going to file a motion for protection under 47.1. I think the judge is rightfully going to withhold ruling on that until the conclusion of trial. She still has to prove that she didn't maliciously bring this lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. Because if they go into trial and they prove her to be a liar and they prove her to have brought a frivolous lawsuit, she's not protected under 47.1. Regardless of 12B6 motion to dismiss, I feel like if they make certain findings, treble damages won't apply, 47.1 protections won't be a thing. And even if they are, we assume that the attorney fees to defend against defamation were somewhere between 4 to 6 million from the end of December to June 9th. Those are capped. So that's somewhere between 12 to 18 million. If Baldoni proves all those things at trial, here my kids, his attorney fees are going to be significantly higher than $18 million. I can tell you that much. And so when you put it into that perspective, it's full steam ahead on defense. And it is not a bad strategy. It might be a blessing in disguise. It probably is a blessing in disguise. Let us stop wasting time with these wayward theories, because the fact is, he will still have the option, if he proves Blake Lively to be a liar, to bring a malicious prosecution complaint at the conclusion of all of this. Is he going to do that? Probably not, based on what I know about him, but he'll have the option, is the point.
Well, he seems like he just wants to live his life, man. So I don't think he's going to.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But the fact that it'll have the option is what I want people to understand. Like, this isn't over. Like, nothing's finalized. There's still a long way to go before the conclusion of this. That is all.
So 2 questions, and somebody in the chat, I'm going to need you to remind me of number 2. The second one has to do with Marvel. Remind me of that, because I'm going to forget, because I'm going to ask a question and Omar may or may not give a long-winded answer, and I might forget the second one. Okay, but you said you think he will rightfully withhold ruling on the 47.1 thing until after.
Yeah. Well, because
what if he doesn't? Like, what would the thing there be? Like, what if he just granted it?
Well, here's the problem. If he rules on it now, what if we get all the way to trial and find out that Blake Lively's a liar and she's proven to be a liar at trial? That
we are going to find out.
necessarily take her outside of the purview of 47.1. Like, the whole reason I was concerned after the 12B6 initially, like the day that I learned of it, was, does this mean issue preclusion? Because Judge Lyman makes a statement that Blake Lively did not maliciously bring sexual harassment claims. But what he's actually said was, Baldoni did not plead that sufficiently, which is not the same thing as ruling on that on the merits. So I don't think that he's precluded from talking about that issue at trial. And to the extent that at trial, she's proven to have maliciously brought these claims because the veracity of her claims are ridiculous. She's proven to be a liar based on all kinds of different evidence after discovery. She's no longer protected under 47.1. So if I was the judge, I would withhold until the time of trial, because at that point, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and we're going to deal with what the damages are. It stands to reason that we should calculate damages at the very end. There's no reason to do it before. For what? And so logically, now I can't guarantee that this is how the judge is going to treat it. Just logically, it makes all the sense in the world to withhold judgment on a motion for 47.1 damages until after she has to prove her case.
Yeah. Thank you. I think my concern is that there's so much distrust right now with the judge, especially.
I'm aware.
You know,
With good reason.
Well, I mean, you and I have talked about this. You and Rachel talked about this. I talked about this with Rachel. But there's so much distrust there that I kind of wonder. I feel like people will probably worry that he is going to do something like ruling on 47.1 at a time. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So yeah. The other thing I had to well, go ahead. You want to say something first?
No, nothing I haven't already said.
Okay. Well, I liked it the first time, so if you want to say it, no. No. So the second thing I wanted to ask, with the Marvel subpoena, that sat there for a long time until after the 12b6 was ruled on. And now we're looking at this motion to compel for Vanzam.
Right.
And the Stephanie Jones lawsuit with Jen Abel and with Wayfarer, there's still outstanding. There's been no ruling on the motions to dismiss. So
yeah,
I think people are now concerned, does he wait until after he rules on that? And if he decides to dismiss their claims in that lawsuit, does this whole Vanzam thing just go away? Do they just get away with that?
No, I don't. Well, number one, I said earlier on the stream that the only reason the Vanzam issue exists is because they're litigating it in the Jones v. Abel case. But how does it affect Lively v. Baldoni? Because to the extent that the evidence obtained from that subpoena gave rise to causes of action related to Blake Lively's complaint, I think that the legal logic is that you treat it as fruit of the poisonous tree.
Right.
If it's deemed to be a frivolous lawsuit, so you got this shell corporation that's been in existence since what, 2012, 2013, I forget.
I can't remember what year.
I guess Ryan Reynolds is now a named CEO of the company.
As of yesterday. Yesterday. Like,
I know. The only reason for its existence is they once used it to pay for furniture. So you filed a breach of contract lawsuit against no named defendant. The nature of contract law is you have to have two parties to a contract. There's an offeror and an offeree.
Right.
The offeror makes an offer. The offeree accepts the offer. And you have these two parties. There's not a chance that you're making an offer to an unidentified person for consideration for some kind of other promise, and you're not going to know who that person is.
Like a weirdo Craigslist situation.
Like, exactly. But even then, and so I guess maybe conceivably, but they're going to have to prove it, that to the extent that basically it's this. If it was a frivolous lawsuit, could they legally have done that? Sure. But does that change the characterization of the lawsuit to from frivolous to non-frivolous? No, it doesn't. And if it's frivolous and you use it to launder evidence, because I'm not the only one that thinks this, they already were in possession of evidence that they were seeking in that subpoena.
Right. Well, that's the accusation. Yeah.
Right. And the subpoena was used to basically launder the evidence to give it color of law. That's it. So whatever they obtained and whatever that evidence led to should be then therefore inadmissible. If you're following the same logic as criminal law. And if not, how does that translate to civil law? Sanctions, maybe the preclusion of certain claims. I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But I do know this, Friedman is not ignoring the issue. He's just building the case and waiting to see where all the pieces fall. And right now we know more than we've ever known that it was a sham organization used probably for tax purposes. They used it to buy furniture once. It's not a legitimate organization. Therefore, it could not have possibly led to the creation of a legitimate lawsuit. Therefore, obviously frivolous, and therefore there should be consequences and repercussions.
Mm-hmm. So this motion to compel that's filed in Abel versus Jones, if that case is dismissed and therefore the motion to compel, would that would then be what, like moot?
No, it wouldn't be
Or-
moot because you could still use it in Lively v. Baldoni.
Or would they have to file something in that case? Because they're not the same case. Like that's what I don't understand. I'm like, I don't get the related cases thing
So
when it
I
comes
think
to stuff that's relevant to.
So follow me with this one. Follow me.
I'll try.
Okay.
I'm trying.
So there's this subpoena in Jones v. Abel, right? Unrelated. I mean, it's sort of related, but not the same case, obviously.
Mhm.
If they find out that evidence illegally obtained was given color of law because of a sham subpoena that originated in this other case, you would bring a motion in Lively v. Baldoni challenging the origin of some of the evidence used to file their causes of action and potentially request that certain evidence be made inadmissible, and maybe at worse, have certain causes of action stricken.
Cool.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that I imagine that that's where they're going with this.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but it's what makes sense to me.
Right. All right, let's because people are saying what about the super chat? So I guess there's a lot of super chats here. Let's get to those because let's see. Cynic in Chief, thank you for the $2. Where your jacuzzi is my cesspool. It's where your cesspool is my jacuzzi, bro. But yes, very much so. I will never forget that. So this was not a super chat, but I started because I wanted everyone to know that this happened because it made me happy. Lauren, please tell Omar he's not allowed any rants tonight. He already had a solo monologue today and talked for 8 minutes before he realized he was frozen.
I went on this beautiful soliloquy, man, with Leanne, and then I disappeared. And then I asked her a question after I was ranting for 8 minutes. It's like, what do you think of that, Leanne? It's like, oh, we lost Leanne. Oh shit, they lost me. I had to log back in a StreamYard.
8 minutes is like, that's longer than usual.
I mean, and I had to explain, look, when I get on a rant, I don't look at my screen. I look everywhere but my screen. And so I was just,
you gotta work on that. I always check my screen now because I'm like, I want to make sure I'm not doing an Omar. Like, I can't do it. All right, Cynic in Chief has a $5 for you. Go ahead.
Interested in Omar's take on Arizona asking for aggravated charges for Laura Owens and for multiple counts to be factored as repeat offenses. Well, I'll just give you, I talked about this a little bit on Dave Neal. I talked about this a little bit with you, Lauren. The fact that that aggravated sheet came out lets me know that there are more victims than we know. There's potentially multiple accomplices. And if they're looking for these aggravated charges to be deemed as multiple counts, like in criminal law, like for example, you get a DUI, you get a slap on the wrist, $2,000 fine, a couple days county jail. That's usually you're given credit for when you're booked and released. Fine, done. The second time they catch you doing that, it's 60 days in jail. The third time, it's 180 days in jail with like a 3-year prison license suspension. The fourth time, they're going to count it as a felony, and you're going to probably go to prison for like over a year, maybe a couple years in state. Anywhere there's these continuous repeat offenses are obviously punished more harshly. It just lets me know that the DA is not letting this go without Laura Owens serving prison time. It tells me that they are not on the position right now that they're going to accept a plea deal from her defense attorney that doesn't include some measure of prison. However they want to work that out. My guess is maybe 2 years in state with maybe some hybrid model of supervised visitation. But that's my take on it. You know what? Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow or when I'm on the road. I'm supposed to be going to Vegas this weekend.
What are you going to Vegas for, dude?
Oh, I don't know. Kids and 4th of July. Oh, let's take the
You're
kids
going
to
with
Vegas.
your
That's
kids?
a great. I know.
You're taking your kids to Vegas.
Not my idea. It's not my idea. Obviously, we're not taking them on the strip. We're going to go to like the aquarium or something. I don't know. It's going to be a PG Vegas trip. Just know that. There's going to be a splash pool at the resort that we're staying at.
No comment. All right.
There will not be a weed bar. I'll tell you that much.
I hope not. It's for your children's sake. Just because one of those kids will get into the weed.
Oh, I know. Oh, look, gummies.
Love candy. All right, here, this one's for you too, man.
Just talk as much as you want, Omar. Not everyone's going to be happy. I usually do. I mean, what are you going to do? I can't please everybody. I try my best not to offend people, but it's hard when you're me to not offend people.
Well,
So,
for you, it's hard not to offend people. For me, it's hard not to be reactive to people. So I'm like ready to fight. I'm like ready to fight. If you're a bitch to me, I'm gonna be a bitch to you because I'm so nice to everybody all the time. But if you're a bitch to me, oh god.
I don't normally want to fight people, but I will defend my friends to the death, as you will know.
Yeah,
just how it is.
I feel that. Yeah. Sitting in chief, thank you for the 5. Poor Rich. Rich Lieberman is somebody who knows the Owens family. So this is also related to Lauren Owens' case, which I'll be talking about tomorrow night with Tiff and Schnitzel Ninja. And if you want to join us, you can, about the financials going back to 2005 that are sketchy. So especially in light of the lawsuit now by the bank saying that the Owens family owes them over $50,000. Okay, poor Rich. He's getting savaged for sticking up for an old friend, and now Ron's credit card company is wanting to get paid via arbitration. Listen, I can't say much for Ron. For Rich, that I just got off the phone with Rich before we started this stream. Rich is he's a pretty chill guy. I know that people watch his videos and they thought he was like way too hype at some points, but no, he's like a pretty chill, normal guy. When you get him on the phone, you're just talking to him. So I'm going to talk to him some more tomorrow, and then we'll get him on the show soon. So thank you for the 5. And this is for you, man.
Oh, just want to say, love you both, and so grateful for your commentary. I watch all the time, but like every time. MCH Hot Life, that is a true statement. I see you're in the chat all the time. Appreciate you both. Question for the Tilted Lawyer. Can ND Subpoena be a problem for his documentary? I would. If they're looking for the communications or like documentary footage, I would defend that to the death. I would quash that. I don't know how much of a problem that would be, because I imagine the problem would come from people that participated getting real nervous and wanting to pull out and maybe halt the release of that, like in a worst case scenario.
That would fucking suck, dude.
I just can't. I can't imagine the judge not granting a motion to quash.
Right. Well,
the documentary that was literally, because it's not like they didn't have access to all the people on the documentary. You want to subpoena them individually, right, but you don't get to get all the stuff from the documentary that was produced after the CRD. Fuck off.
Well, what does it have to do with a smear campaign, an unreleased documentary with unknown people involved? What the fuck does that have to do with a smear campaign?
I agree with you. I would ask for an offer of proof. Give me an offer of proof why you need random, the 13th person on deck for the documentary and their communications. Why is it relevant? They'd have to give me an offer of proof, and it would have to make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Here we go. You got another one here, man.
Is there an issue with him changing the CEO of Vanzam? I know there are 2 different Vanzams owned by them. Well, I think number one, no, it doesn't matter who the CEO is. You can have a fictitious CEO for all I care. They're not going to be able to prove that this was a legitimate business that filed a legitimate lawsuit. I think that's should be issue primary number 1. I've heard people ask me about marital privilege. It doesn't really apply for fraud. And so, but to be fair, we're not really litigating fraud anymore, are we? So to that degree, I don't think it matters. And I don't think we really care what happened with the Vanzam. If you're interested only in the Blake Lively case, I think that the reason why you're interested in is what the outcome from the Vanzam litigation is going to mean for the admissibility of certain evidence. That's it. And unless you're really, really interested in Jones v. Abel, you might care about it some for that. But I think what's the least interesting thing about Vanzam is who are the corporate officers. The most interesting thing about Vanzam is what are their business activities? Show me their tax returns. Show me their profit and loss statements. Show me their business objectives. Show me every contract they've ever made since 2012. Since they were filing a breach of contract lawsuit. That's the most relevant part about Vanzam. who cares who the CEO is? It's Oscar the Grouch for all we care.
I mean, I would care a little bit if it was Oscar the Grouch, you know? Just saying.
I was wondering when Lauren's
that guy's
on
my
hug.
fucking idol. All right, here's one for you.
Blake Lively, emphasis on lie, will get nothing except a reputation. Well, I think that I love that name, Cynic in Chief. I dig more the profile pic. I'm jealous of that pic. I'm jealous of the beard in that pic. If I could grow that beard and have that hair, I would have it.
You look exactly that old, if that helps.
What I would say to that is Lively is her reputation's already in the tank, man. It would take some miraculous turn of events to rehabilitate it by virtue of this case, is all I got to say about that. MK says so. She said, the most interesting thing is the communication in RF9. We want those communications, by the way, to Lulu, Sloan, and Jones. And I can't, I'm not following that. It's already scrolled all the way up, and so I can't.
I see it. The most interesting thing is the communications in RF9. Was that request for productions? Are they trying to say we want those communications between? It's got to be Blake, Sloan, Jones, and their lawyers. I'm
sure,
assuming
get the communications. I'm just saying I don't give a shit who the officers are.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm assuming they have to mean between Vanzam and Jones, which is what they don't want to turn over. I don't know about Sloan. No. I don't think Sloan is really involved in this one anymore, is she? But
I will give them my communications.
Rich.
How about that?
Rich says, great show. Thank you, Rich. Hey, how's it going, man?
What's up, Rich?
Yeah, we just talked to Rich. I just talked to Rich on the phone before this.
I know.
You should talk to Rich, man. He's funny.
I'm on Team Rich, by the way.
We like Rich, yeah. Okay, Just Ricardo, thank you for the $2. Omar, take them to Omega Mart. Who are we talking about? And what's Omega Mart?
That's what I was going to. What is Omega Mart?
I need some new shirts. Is that where I can find one? All right. I got 2 more for you, man. Here you go.
Okay. Omar, question. Not about Blake Lively, JB. Have you seen the H3 Ethan Klein copyright lawsuits? If so, thoughts in another video. I have no idea what that even is, but I'm going to be looking into it after the show.
Oh, the H3 podcast. He does the H3 podcast. You don't know the H3 podcast?
I don't. I'm going to have to check him out.
We'll talk about this, but not tonight.
Not tonight.
Because it's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
And then here's another one.
Jones' suit filed against Meta last week has crossover. No. Subpoenas against Jen and Melissa. Steph Jones' archive is there, so it's entertaining. Maybe.
You know what they're talking about?
I don't know. I wasn't aware of a lawsuit against Meta.
So
shows how
they sent subpoenas because, oh my goodness, I almost knocked my Gatorade over. I'm sorry. So they sent subpoenas because
hey, what flavor of Gatorade do you have, by the way?
Blue, dark blue.
What did you tell me about the people that do the flavors? If you name the actual flavor,
the flavor instead of the color, you're a cop.
You're a cop. It's Arctic Breeze.
Yeah, no. Somebody said if it's dark blue, there's light blue, so you have to say the flavor. And then somebody's like, yeah, okay, officer, it's dark blue and light blue, not cool blue and glacier freeze. All right. Anyways, the Meta thing. So Stephanie Jones, I think this is relating to, if I'm correct, which there's always a chance I'm not. The subpoenas to John Doe's. There was that Stephanie Jones Leaks website, and she was trying to find out who was behind it. And so that website again got taken down, but they keep moving from place to place. And so she's claiming that they like defamed her in some way. And I guess a lot of the people who apparently supplied information for that, I don't know if the people who made the website are former employees, but so apparently like some of the allegations are from former employees. So I guess she's going after them. Is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about a different one?
Are you asking me? Because I don't even know about
I'm talking to Michelle who left you this comment. Right. Okay. Fab, thank you for the $2. Plead the fifth about H3 bad vibes only. I mean, I don't have any choice at this moment because I don't know much else. So I can't really say much else. So
there's no fifth in the civil case though.
I love mess, so I'll look into it. We'll see.
I feel like I'm missing out. Now I'm getting severe FOMO because I don't know what the H3 thing is.
We're gonna find out, brother. We are
All
gonna
right.
find out.
I
A
got a long
virtual
drive ahead of
tourist,
me
thank you
tomorrow.
for the $2. What about Blake? No CRD permission to sue her employer. What does that mean, homie?
Oh, so I think people are getting that. So when she files her CRD complaints, I think procedurally she has the option of going forward on some kind of investigation with the state or proceeding in some other thing. And a lot of people very early on made this big deal that there wasn't like an official right to sue letter. I don't remember what the outcome was. I just remember when I looked at it way back in January, it was legit. And so I will refrain from misstating things. I just know that I've looked into this once and I just don't remember what I looked at, but it was not a basis for dismissal, if that's what we're getting at.
All right.
Forgive my poor
Cassidy
memory.
says, and I'm thinking she's talking about Jones here. She subpoenaed everything. I think she has more from Jen's phone she's trying to wash. It was stuff like WhatsApp and Signal. Okay. Huh.
What is Signal?
It's an effect messaging app, I think. I may be incorrect about that though. So again.
I
Hi
don't
Bruce.
know.
What's up?
What's that, Bruce?
Sent you a DM about it last week, Lauren. Wasn't sure if anyone else already knew. If you sent me a DM last week, so the thing about that is the last time Omar and I streamed together, in the very beginning of the stream, I said something about this project I was doing for Justin, and I'm still working on it because I got so many fucking DMs that I can't get through them all. So if I haven't read your DM, I will read it. It might not be within a couple months' time, but I will read it eventually down the line. So I'm really sorry about that, but thank you for for reaching out. A common secure messaging app. Okay. Gotcha. And that thing for Justin, by the way, guys, will be ready probably Friday because my mom was here and I just wanted to take some time out. So, all right. So we wanted to go over Jed Wallace's thing because people are asking about that. This again came out today. So the judge had given Blake Lively until today to give like a 2-page letter explaining something about the Jed Wallace because there's a motion to dismiss that's in dispute. And then Jed has until next week, I think, to respond to that with a two pages of a letter.
All right,
so
let's do it.
let's pull this up real quick.
Are we going to do a role play?
I'm not role playing with you, buddy. It's not happening. I know that you want role play. I'm not a role player. I'm sorry. All right, let me see. I don't know if that's like, is it too small? You think?
Can't see that shit.
Yeah, let me zoom in a little bit, and then we'll see if we need to.
All right. Oh, you want me to read it?
No, I'll do it, but I just wanted to make sure that it was visible.
No, I can see it.
Okay. Cool. All right, let's see. Dear Judge Lyman, plaintiff Blake Lively respectfully submits this letter. Blah 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 blah. Okay, let's see. And they're talking about the conspiracy while physically located in New York. As just a few examples, the amended complaint alleges that defendants Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfarer heard from Miss Lively in person in New York about the very complaints that prompted their retaliation campaign. Notice none of that says anything about Jed. That those defendants engaged Jonesworks, a non-party co-conspirator with a physical... Wait, hold on. We're calling Jonesworks a co-conspirator now? Is that weird?
No.
I feel like it's a little weird.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take over.
Okay, go ahead.
That Melissa Nathan lived in and conducted business in New York during a portion of the relevant period, and that Sarowitz announced the conspiracy's plan to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family at the film's New York premiere. The amended complaint also alleged that Nathan furthered the conspiracy by communicating with or causing content to be provided to journalists, content creators, media entities based in New York, including at least one journalist at the New York Post and another at the New York Times, one of whom was Nathan's sister. Given that Nathan lived in New York during a portion of the relevant period, it is reasonable to infer that Nathan conducted much of that activity, each instance of which would constitute an overt act while physically present in New York. Those New York contacts are easily attributed to the Wallace defendants for purposes of a motion to dismiss stage personal jurisdiction analysis. The amended complaint alleges that Nathan and TAG had a relationship with Mr. Wallace that preceded this litigation, and that Miss Nathan worked with Mr. Wallace on previous matters and TAG retained him to work with them on behalf of defendant Wayfair and Mr. Baldoni. It is reasonable to infer that Wallace knew that Nathan resided in New York, or at least that she had resided there during a portion of her participation in the conspiracy. That is sufficient to attribute Nathan and TAG's New York-based acts to the Wallace defendants under both New York and federal law. New York's broad approach to agency attributes long-arm statute contacts to co-conspirators when A, the defendant had an awareness of the effects in New York of the conspiracy's activity, and B, the activity of the co-conspirators in New York was to the benefit of the out-of-state conspirators, and C, the co-conspirators acting in New York acted at the direction or under the control or at the request of or on behalf of the out-of-state defendants. Fat Brands Inc. Ramjeet, what a case name. The Wallace defendants have never contested the first two elements, nor could they, because the amended complaint alleges that 1.
I'm muted. I'm sorry.
Muted.
You got to tell me to scroll, dude.
I
did.
I did with my pause.
Hey, I don't take orders.
I didn't order you. I literally
better say
paused.
Please and thank you, bitch. Go ahead.
Wallace defendants knew that their co-conspirators included New York-based individuals and entities who were taking steps in New York to retaliate against Miss Lively and portray her in a false light, and that the Wallace defendants were paid for it. The third requirement, that New York-based co-conspirators acted at the direction or under the control of the out-of-state defendant, may be satisfied by an allegation that the out-of-state defendant was aware of the torts being committed by co-conspirators. In other words, New York courts do not mandate a showing of control or direction to establish conspiracy-based personal jurisdiction. Are we still talking about this jurisdictional thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the lawsuit in Texas where we talked about that to death, but there's also she's suing him in New York where we have to talk about that to death. So I guess we are still talking about that, yes.
This element is satisfied even when the out-of-state defendants act at the direction of an in-state co-conspirator. Why do people want to read this?
We want to read everything, bro.
All right. Here as in Fat Brands, Miss
Such
Lively.
A silly question. What the? Okay, go ahead.
Miss Lively alleges more than knowledge. She alleges that the Wallace defendants participated directly in the scheme being executed by, among others, New York-based co-conspirators. The court therefore must easily infer that they were aware of the torts being committed in New York. To be clear, however, conspiracy jurisdiction over the Wallace defendants is also proper under 302A1 of the New York long-arm statute, something the Wallace parties never challenged in their opening brief. Although the Wallace defendants challenged the application of the long-arm statute to their own individual activities, the Wallace defendants nowhere challenged the sufficiency of other co-conspirators' jurisdictional contacts under any provision of the New York long-arm statute, nor did the Wallace parties challenge the attribution of their co-conspirators' conceded contacts to themselves under the cases they later cited in reply. The Wallace defendants' silence as to their co-conspirators' contacts were enough to establish statutory long-arm jurisdiction over them. I mean, that's assuming a lot of things. In any event, the co-conspirator had extensive...
She likes to do that, you know?
I'd like to see what?
I said she likes to do that, assume things.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the nature of complaints, isn't it? In any event,
go ahead.
The co-conspirators had extensive suit-related A1 contacts with New York that must be attributed to the Wallace defendants. Section 302A1 is a single act statute, meaning that proof of one transaction in New York is sufficient to invoke jurisdiction, even though the defendant never enters New York, so long as the defendant's activities here were purposeful. if I'm just breaking this down, it's like I could commit crimes in Florida if I'm somehow part of a conspiracy to commit a crime in Florida without ever having stepping foot in Florida. If I know that something I affirmatively do is going to contribute to the commencement of a crime, maybe initiated by Lauren Neideigh.
I was about to say, if you're a part of a conspiracy in Florida, I'm definitely on the other end of that.
Well, that would be the only one I know. And so, but that's what they're saying. Like, in a nutshell, it doesn't have to be so legalese, you know. Each of those contacts must be attributed to the Wallace defendants under both the long arm statute and federal due process principles. Stuff, cases, citations. Yeah, skip over this whole paragraph.
That's pretty much it.
All right, that was it.
Yeah.
All right. So what are they arguing for again? What is this a motion for?
So she wants to dismiss, or he wants to dismiss her lawsuit in New York.
Because he's basically claiming I had no idea there were torts being committed.
Right.
Whatever conspiracies had nothing to do with me.
He's saying that all he did, per his affidavit, all he did was monitor trends, basically.
Yes.
And like it's because they were thinking like if we have to take action here, we need to be prepared for that. We need to know what we're going up against. And so he monitored those trends, but then found that people were naturally not favorable, which is a nice way to put it, of Blake. And so he didn't have to do anything else. And so he's saying, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, basically, because he was hired sometime after the smear campaign was alleged to have started.
Yeah.
Right. So he was hired after the smear campaign started,
and he
way
literally
after the
did
film
nothing.
was done with all that. And so he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, basically, is what's going on.
Yeah, that was my, like, he came in as a consultant, and my advice is do nothing. That was his advice. And that was it. This lawsuit is stupid. I'm surprised it's still ongoing.
Oh my lord, I gotta mute someone in your chat because you got a spammer up in here.
Well.
It's Elon Musk, guys. He's totally not a bot. Hang on.
Oh, there is totally a one.
Yeah, I was going to say, where'd Bruce go, man? I need help.
Yeah, get rid of this guy.
I'm your one mod, and I'm obviously busy.
Oh, ban user and delete their comments. Here, I took care of this. Whoever that was.
Enjoy your enjoy your ban basement. All right. Anyway, go ahead, guys. What were we talking about?
I was just mentioning how I thought that Jed Wallace's lawsuit, I'm surprised it's still ongoing. It's really kind of stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. We got you got a super chat here. Can you see the super chats on the side?
I can see them, but I can't see who they're attributed to.
I'm gonna pull this one up. You have two.
How could you even tell though? Like, how do you know?
So you see the one with like the links next to it?
Oh, yeah.
Those are yours. Those are yours.
I see.
Mm-hmm. So the other ones that don't have a chain link, those are mine. So you know what? I don't have time. I have to pee though. So like, let's find a break for me soon.
All right. Please roleplay where you are both D&D characters. I don't even know what a D&D character would be. Who's
Dungeons and Dragons? I don't know how to play, but I know what that is.
I know what it is. I don't know any characters. So just give me something. Give me a character, and I'll make up a personality, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
You don't want me to do that.
No, I don't. I'm not any more than I want to see you do karaoke.
So you definitely want me to do that. Okay, got it. That's for you.
Oh, I was pulling up all right. Super sticker from Aquanetta with the $5. Thank you so much, young lady. I very much appreciate you. I was gonna, while you're peeing, I'm going to share one of my playlists on Spotify.
Oh fuck yeah! Wait, no, because we'll get demonetized.
Oh well, I'm not gonna like play the music. I'm gonna like say.
You're smarter than I thought. I'll be right back.
All right. As I log into Spotify, I'm going in, and we're taking a break from the general topic of what we were talking about because I don't want to do the show without Lauren. Oh no, I gotta log into. Man, okay, just log me in. I'm logging into my Spotify. I'm going to read you a list of who's on my playlist. You know, my phone is over there and it's being used as my camera right now. So I'm going to have to log in via the web. and hopefully this works out. What do you mean I can't get into my thing? You know, I never log into Spotify via the internet. And so, oh, you know what? I could do it like this. I will log in this way. Will this work? All right. You know what? I'm going to be malleable, and I'm going to go into this app, and I'm going to open up my phone screen, and I'm going to go into my Spotify app that's already on my phone, and hopefully I'll find it soon. No, here it is. All right. So I guess, all right, going into, you know what? I'm just going to go from liked. This is going to be hilarious. Liked on radio. I got Sam Cooke, Barbara Streisand, Ray Charles, Johnny Mathis, John Legend, The Temptations, Sam Cooke again, James Brown. I got some Aretha Franklin. I got some Janis Joplin, Grateful Dead for some reason.
Are you just reading a list of stuff, or is this an actual playlist?
No, well, they're the artist on the playlist. I could name the songs, but I figured it'd be more apropos to just name the artist. Al Green is featured prominently. Etta James, The Manhattans, Kiss and Say Goodbye. That is a classic song. Stevie Wonder. We got some Amy Winehouse, Corinne Bailey Ray. Whatever happened to her? Nora Jones, for when I'm on my period. I got some Alicia Keys.
Oh my, what? Winehouse. You're oh my.
I said what I said, Lauren.
Okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't judge you because that shit's hard, and I know you probably go through it every month. So go ahead.
I mean, Nora Jones is on. She's on my list, man. I don't know why I would listen to that music, but for, you know, I got Marvin Gaye. I got some Tammy Terrell. I got some Otis Redding. I have Ray Charles again. Sophia Colenberg. I don't even know who that is. Maggie Siff, Aurora May, Nora Gunderson. Now we're getting into some obscure. Oh, Boys to Men, of course. Yeah. I got some Linda Ronstadt, of course. I got some Linda Ronstadt. Donny Hathaway. Got some Donny Hathaway. Willie Nelson. Johnny Cash. Is that enough? Have we done enough with my
playlist?
Yes. Okay.
Oh my God.
It's an eclectic list. How about that? But it's not Meghan Trainor or
I came back
Miley
to
Cyrus.
a different person. Like, what is happening here?
I was trying to entertain folks while you were, using the facilities.
Well, the facilities didn't take as long as your stupid period playlist. All right.
Hey, my mom's in the chat.
I got two of these I got to read. Hang on. Vipan, thank you for the 5. Isn't that super helpful to Baldoni to show trends that we just hate Blake? She's shooting herself in the foot. I certainly agree with that. Yes, but Ariana Boykins, thank you for the $10. 2 Qs, Tilted Lawyer. Would you lean into how an inactive company could file a subpoena? Second, Plantation Barbie's team. I love how everyone's so creative with the names here. Said, I think Variety, it was her and it was legal, so why change it now? So the questions are, would you lean into how an inactive company could file a subpoena? Yeah. And then also, she said it was her already, so why change the stance?
So let's explore that. All right. So you can file a Doe lawsuit. There's nothing illegal about doing that, right? But there are federal rules against filing frivolous lawsuits. And if the company that you're filing a lawsuit on behalf of is an inactive corporation, that is already suspicious. Now, but when you name the cause of action being a breach of contract and you're claiming to not know whom you contracted with, which is what you would normally do, you would name a defendant. Now you're within the purview of filing a frivolous lawsuit to which there's all kinds of consequences for sanctions, inadmissibility of evidence, dismissal of suits, all kinds of bad stuff. So that's when I say I don't really care who the officers were. I just want to know what the business was there for. That's what I'm looking for. Is really just evidence that it was a frivolous lawsuit. That's what I mean.
Okay. You get to both the questions?
I think so.
Okay, cool.
If I didn't, just let me know.
I don't remember because I unstarted by accident. You to know. If not, just let us know. All right. Okay, so we went through all that. And so do you remember last time? I feel like this was probably the last time we streamed was when it was like a surprise Vanzam motion, right? We haven't been together since then, have we?
No, it's been about a week or so, maybe more.
Yeah, because I had to teach you how to Instagram story, and then that was embarrassing.
I know.
So I didn't talk to you for a few days
Lauren,
after that.
How do you do stories? You're like, what?
You mean how do you? You called me. You're like, how do you do stories? And then you post your story, and you're driving in the car while you're doing a story. I was like, Omar, don't show people you're doing it. Like, what are you doing? Right. This is like there were some questions that night that I did not get to ask you because we had to derail our original topic, which was I don't even fucking remember. It had something to do with the foregoing the amendment, obviously, and then what that meant, and kind of what I was thinking about, kind of what your mindset would be in that situation. But I'm trying to remember some of the questions I was going to have for you because I was like, I have some really hard questions for you. And they were really personal questions too. And now I can't remember any of them, but like really one. But like, so we've been going through this whole thing with 47.1 for a while. Yeah. But the heavy consensus is that she was not sexually harassed.
Right.
But that's a hard thing for a lot of people to kind of take in. And then people on the other side of this argument will say that's just a hard thing. But like nobody wants to admit that people are actually this awful. Even this guy who stands up and says all these things about like standing up for women and whatever. So like there's a lot of arguments back and forth. You are, in my opinion, have sort of leaned towards she's not been sexually harassed. Is that correct or no?
No, I think that her claims are kind of ridiculous. Like the bar for sexual harassment claims is what a reasonable person would find to be offensive. So you've heard me say a lot that her subjective sensitivities is not going to rule the day. Like if she's offended because you sneeze in her general direction, most people are not offended by that. So if she has extreme emotional distress from that, she's not going to win, right? Because there's a line. A jury has to decide what's reasonable or not. And so in my opinion, and I've said it from the beginning, a lot of these claims or all of these claims are not going to pass that threshold, which is why I've just believed that she's not been sexually harassed. I'm more akin to thinking that she was doing this for personal gain.
And that's a very smart, reasonable, legal answer. And I'm going to ask you to forgo all of that right now because I don't want you to give me an answer as an attorney. So what I'm going to say is I have spoken about this from the perspective of someone who's been through some pretty horrible things that this person is, I feel in my opinion, she's exploiting them for her own gain and to protect herself from the backlash of her own actions. And it's an emotional issue for a lot of women. You're a father of daughters and you're saying you don't think it's reasonable for her to say she's sexually harassed. And some people will, and the reason I have such a hard time with this and with the Laura Owens thing, even when she says she was abused and is saying like, no, you're not necessarily telling the truth, or what you're saying is not necessarily rational, or it's not accurate. And so how do you, as like a father of daughters, do you ever worry like about saying, no, this isn't right to something like that? Do you ever have an issue with like something as serious as sexual harassment and like feel bad about that? Like, because I feel bad when I'm looking at someone like this and I'm saying like, dude, like, no, I'm sorry. That's not sexual harassment. That's not right. What you're doing is wrong. Or even for me personally, goes so far as saying, I think you have nefarious intentions. Do you ever like have a little pause or like think about that and just like what, how do you feel about that as a person, not as a lawyer, as a person, when you're looking at this kind of stuff? Like, how do you feel? What's going through your mind?
I'm not going to give you a lawyer answer.
Don't.
Because I certainly could, but
I've gotten enough of those.
A lot of my experience with this comes from me being a lawyer. So it's hard to detach. All that to say that I have met genuine victims of sexual harassment, sexual assault. I mean, the ugliest crimes you could possibly think of. I've met them. I know what it looks like with my eldest daughters. You know, I've encountered some of these accusations. You asked me as a man, like, how do I take it? Like, if one of my daughters were to come back with some kind of an allegation like that, I mean, I think you already know.
So just to clarify, it's not so much if your daughter came out with it. It's more so like, people, when they're just seeing this from the outside and they don't know too much about it, they're just seeing all these people harping on this woman who's made a sexual harassment allegation. And a lot of people are going to be afraid of that and think like, why should I speak up? Why should I feel like anyone would believe me? And I feel like you, as a father of daughters, like, do you ever think about like, do you ever worry about that? I guess just how it looks like optically for people who are not following it and only read the headlines and shit like that. When we're covering these cases with Laura, with Justin and Blake, like, do you ever worry about that?
That's a very complicated answer. It's a very complicated answer.
Yeah, I like complicated though. So it's.
But I mean, I'm not so foolish as to think to think that I'm going to give you the right answer, because I don't know.
I don't need your right answer. I just want to know your answer. Yeah.
I think that my 6-year-old daughter, she's in jiu-jitsu class.
Yes.
Right. And she got kicked in the knee because they were drilling this move that they were learning. And then, they're drilling, so they're learning the move, and then she starts crying, and then she wants to demonize this young boy that was following his instructions, because they're trying to. It's a co-ed jiu-jitsu class, like 5-6 years old, and my approach to her was not to be, oh, we're gonna get this boy. This boy is, he will be punished. It's like, hey, you're in jiu-jitsu class. It's a fight, and so. What are you going to do? The drill was you're supposed to do this, and you didn't do that, and that's why your leg hurts. And so there's a toughness there, but there's also boundaries that is very difficult to navigate, as children get older, 4, 5, 7, 11, 15, 18. And I think that my daughters, if they were to ever come to me and say they were sexually harassed, I'd want to really understand. And I think that I would probably give them space to tell me in their own words without any of my interjection, and just really try to feel where they're coming from, And I probably do my own independent investigation. I'll tell you this, I wouldn't be like so quick to like put on the Rambo headband and like go hunting something on, just the word of my daughter, but I've really tried to get as much information as I can. But it's difficult, because what do you do? You're right. I think, like, what do you do if it's like 50-50? What if there's a chance that my daughter's lying because of so many reasons? It's hard not to harken back to my experience as a lawyer. I've seen genuine claims and I've seen frivolous claims, and I've seen how that could affect both sides of it, the victim and the person that's alleged to be the perpetrator. And so I don't even really know, Lauren, honestly, how to answer that question, but I will never want to be.
Like, I'm not getting it across very well. I'm not getting across the question very well. I think it's more so like, do you ever worry that, so this is obviously a pervasive issue in our society. It's just like the way a lot of men treat women, especially when women feel like they're not going to be believed. Do you ever worry about saying like, no, I don't think this woman was sexually harassed, and then worry about how that might turn out someday? Like, what if your daughter came to you and said like, I don't think I'm going to be believed, or I'm worried about XYZ, or this person said about this like big famous celebrity, like they didn't believe her. Why should they believe me? Do you ever like think about that's kind of what I'm getting at? Not so much would you believe your kids, because I would expect you to believe your kids, because who wouldn't? But if she came to you, if one of your kids came to you and said, hey, like, and this is, like I said, a hard question, a personal question. Hey, I heard you say this about this person. Like, you didn't believe, what she said. And like, why is that? Do you have a hard time having that conversation, especially knowing that, she might go through something like that? Or.
Well, that's an easier question, because I think that, look, I've run my mouth plenty in my life, and I've said lots of things, positive and negative, about various different people. And so, I would have no problem having an educational conversation with any of my daughters about that specifically, because it's important. Look, you can't just like, there are people that have, for personal gain or for many different reasons, made false allegations of stuff. And it hurts the people that have real experience of those things, because it turns out it's really easy to make false allegations. It's really hard to make genuine allegations. That requires an extra measure of bravery that you either have in the moment or you don't. And sometimes that bravery doesn't come until months, years, decades after the fact.
Sure.
And so, but yeah, I'm never going to shy away from a conversation that there's good and bad in the world. There's evil and good. There's true and false allegations. And, you know, you always want to be on the side of good, of the truth, of whatever.
Mhm.
You would never want to weaponize your ability to falsely accuse somebody for some nefarious reason.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, getting into deeper parenthood type questions. But yeah, I got no problem talking to my daughters about when I say that I don't believe Blake Lively, I'll explain exactly why. But then I could lean back on my experiences. Like, I've seen people genuinely affected by perpetrators of sexual violence. And I know what that looks like. And this is what she said. And then I'll just do the math and we'll have like a real conversation. But I would never, ever want to scare my daughters into thinking they couldn't tell me something. I would hope.
I guess that's kind of what I was getting at. I was like, how do you do that without scaring them out of having a conversation, or without scaring them out of saying what happened, you know, like saying whatever they need to say to you or to anyone, really? Like, how do you do all that and not, like, I feel like it's so hard to have that conversation without instilling any sort of fear that, like, oh, like people are going to think that I'm full of shit, you know?
I'd probably just point to Disney movies. Like, there's Disney movies where, well, because it's like I don't know, I can't think of anything right now, but like there's Disney movies where it's like the villain will like make themselves out to be the victim, and then it will cause people to do certain things and evil things would happen. Yeah. That'd be like the same thing as making false allegations of sexual abuse, but then there's genuine victims. I mean, that's, I think, the simplest way to explain it, you know, but you can weaponize allegations. It's the same. It's no different than like if you lie that, look, one of you guys stole cookies out of the cookie jar. It was either you or your sister. If you tell me and lie to me and say that it was your sister when you know it was you, and I believe you, she's going to get in trouble. And that's going to be because you lied. And so it's really important to tell the truth. And you start just basically there. And then, you know, that simple example escalates as you get older to false allegations of sexual harassment and abuse, such as what I believe we're seeing in this Blake Lively complaint.
Yeah. I guess what I worry about the most is just that, like, somewhere down the line, the things that I say and do are going to have larger implications that could affect somebody in a negative way. And I'm not a parent, so it's a little bit different. But at the same time, I'm out here almost every day talking about this stuff, saying like, dude, I think this person is lying. I think this is terrible. This is wrong. And I just feel like I worry a lot about how that's going to affect people. I worry about how that might hurt someone, you know, it might hurt someone I don't mean to. So
I think you have to allow yourself, as a guy that's run his mouth his whole life, I think you have to allow yourself grace to know that you're not going to have all the correct answers at 32 years old. You know, you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to misstate some things, and you're going to want to take it back. And when you want to take it back, then just take it back. People will understand, and you can correct your own statements better than anybody else can. And that's really the best you can do.
I don't know if I want to take it back. I don't know if I think I mean it, and I'm angry, and I get upset about the things that are that intense and personal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I worry about, because that's the truth about how I feel. But at the same time, it's like, how does that affect somebody? So I don't want to walk it back and say I didn't mean that, because I did, and I do. But I don't want to hurt anyone.
I think that the hardest thing about the arbiter of facts, about the passer of judgment, is in passing judgment too quickly. And so if you always position yourself as a person that's willing to listen to folks and be slow to judgment and quick to listen, you'll give yourself the best chance of at least giving people the opportunity to be heard. Because I think most people are reluctant to tell others things because of their fear that they're not going to be heard without being rapidly judged. And so if you're just like this empathetic person that's willing to listen and take in all the facts, you can tell them, and you walk them through. But you have to, if you're going to put yourself in a position to run your mouth, you have to learn how to pause yourself and just take in all the information and then say what you got to say. And you might get it right. You might get it wrong.
Sure.
The benefit of still being alive is you get to correct course or not correct course later, or explain what you meant at the time and how you've evolved, you know?
I just, 5-10 years from now, if I look back on this, I don't think I'm going to want to apologize for calling this lady a cunt. And I don't know how that's going to hurt somebody else who's growing up in this world where things can be so awful and who might be going through something that I feel like is just terrible and feels like they can't speak up about it and like sees me calling this lady a cunt. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like this person is actually like such an awful person. But at the same time, it's like you said that, like I said that, and technically I wasn't there. Technically the trial hasn't happened. And so I don't know the truth. Right. And I really feel like I do, but I can't really say that right now. So somebody's going to look at that. I'm afraid that somebody's going to look at that someday sooner than I want. And it's going to be bad. So
what I would say to that is, well, hell, Lauren, we're getting into some heavy stuff.
I told you this was going to go, man.
Yeah. If you were a young person out there and you are experiencing what you believe to be sexual harassment, you got to find and gravitate towards those that are going to hear you out. And surely, even in the most egregious of circumstances, there's going to be people that call you a liar.
Right.
But if you believe it, you have to stand your ground and tell your story. The reason why you call Blake Lively a cunt is because
when you say cunt, it's just like,
well, you have more information than you normally would, and you think you've seen some things that look like big red flags regarding the veracity of her story, and you're making an informed decision to do that. Could you possibly be wrong about Blake Lively? I mean, yeah, you could.
Sure.
But
there's always that chance, I guess, but I really don't believe that.
Yeah. And so I guess what I would say to that is, hell, whatever you say in this world may have negative consequences against anybody. They may, I got this weird message. They may affect
you got
somebody
my message. Good. Okay.
in a nefarious way. You can't be afraid of that. If you're going to say what you say, you have to always, and I think you do a really good job of, because you have an entire channel. It's not just the Blake Lively case, right? I
don't talk about much else these days because I'm trying to do this and everything else, and I'm traveling a lot. You've seen that, and you tell me to stay home. I'm like, fuck, I'm busy. I'm off somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I don't really do much else right now. But that's because I have a whole job and like I have a whole life. So I'm not. When I'm doing this, it's because I have something that I want to say, and when I have something that I want to say, it's usually related to this case. Yeah.
I guess what I would say to you to maybe ease your mind a little bit is you've never come off as a person that's unwilling to listen to folks.
Sure.
Like you always you go on your rants, but you do them like long after you've got all the information,
Yeah.
Like with Blake Lively, you spent like a good couple of weeks or maybe a month, maybe longer, deciding which side you were going to take. And so you're objectively fair, and that's all you can really ask. And that's the best you can really do. I can't promise you're not going to hurt certain folks. But you're not responsible for all of that either. You're one molecule in a sea in the Milky Way galaxy. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're one shining star amongst 300 billion light years of stars.
Way to make me feel small, man. Stir Crazy says he emphasizes the T. That's definitely true. When you say
who
cunt,
emphasizes the T?
Cunts.
What was that? How are you supposed to say it? Cunts.
Cunt. What are you saying?
I was using a euphemism for female vagina as opposed to a male vagina, I guess.
Your pronunciation is interesting.
Cunt.
No, you said it normal that time.
How do you say it then?
Cunt.
That's how I said it.
No, you said cunts. Oh man. All right.
Oh.
1 second here. I think there was a question that I missed, but we'll just go to the Star Jets here. This is for you.
By the way, case I mentioned is 525 MC. Oh, that's the case number. Oh, that she was talking about. Is that the M3 thing?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and look at that after the show, probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
Definitely not tonight.
Cool. All right. Millennial Mom, let's see. Thank you for the gifted membership. I appreciate that. And then also, I'm trying not to have the hiccups right now. Thank you for being a member for 2 months. Lauren, give yourself some grace. You are seeking justice for the victims. In this case, there are a lot. Yeah. I'm starting to realize there are going to be some strays that I don't mean to,
Nah, this life. What are you gonna do?
Cry about it, probably. I don't know what else to do. But I don't know. It's
just leave yourself available for the off chance that somebody wants to tell you that they caught a stray from you.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. As long as you give off that vibe, that's really all you can do.
Yeah. This for you, man.
Redondo Beach became a YouTube member. Once again, Redondo, by the way, I got your shirts. It's a purple. She got me a shirt that says, I bill by the hour or something like that, or I'm billing you for this conversation. I don't know. I'm supposed to wear it on a live stream. I'm going to do that. I promise I'm going to do it. I can't tell you when I'm going to do it. It's not going to be tomorrow because I'll be on the road, but I will do it in the future. I promise.
You got him something that he promised to wear on a live stream, and you decided not to get him nipple tassels? Swear to God, you're all idiots. Shiori Takaki, thank you very much. Hi, Lauren. I am a fan from Japan. I love that you do your research and you're fighting for survivors. Keep on doing you. Well, thank you for joining us from Japan. I don't even know what time it is there, bro. Appreciate it.
It's all tomorrow.
Right. Probably. Man. Ugh. All right. Well, I gotta get to bed. I got work in like 6 hours.
So. All right, young lady. I gotta get to bed myself.
I'm feeling a little older every time you say "young lady." I swear to God. This is for you too, man. We got one more at the last minute.
Oh well, expect another package. Oh,
nipple tassels.
No, I'm afraid.
You're welcome. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time, which will be.
All right, Lauren. Everybody, y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.